This is Short Hammer. It is the 17th of January 2021. And this is Trading Zones. Interesting week. Had quite a bit of news. And if we are looking at the MES, which we are, what we'll see is there was a retrace, right? And these are some of the lines that we were watching. The 38.17s did not hold. Pull back, pull back through the 37.70s, through the 37.40s, where we ended up closing on the week. And just interesting, right? Because tech was weak this week, and financials kept pushing, and the consumer uh, discretionary was going up, and it ended up pulling back. We had some pretty bad retail numbers. Well, I just say retail missed on Friday, and also durable goods missed, right? So let's get into these levels. So what we're gonna watch for next week is, do we see a retrace through the 3,700 level? And that's possible. We do have earnings on deck. I believe we have bank earnings on deck next week, and that should be interesting. Banks have run incredibly well the last few weeks. So what are we watching for? Okay, from these 37.40s, if we get a bounce back into 37.72s, I would not be surprised. If we don't see that, watch for the next level down here around the 37.14s and maybe down to the 3700s. What we want to remember is that we had a little bit of a struggle getting through the 37.20s at first when we were pushing up, and it took us a few days to get through that. And we're kind of going sideways between the 3700 almost and the 3720s. We popped. So on the way back down, watch the 3720s for a hitch. But if we do sell through 3714s, 3700, 3691, 3667, then 3652. I am not sure we'll see a sell like that, but just watch these levels, right? And to the upside, if 37.47s hold, or if we go back above 37.47, watch 37.72 and 38.17s. Just some interesting levels to watch on the MES. Let's jump over to the Russ. I'll say it's crazy, um, crazy week, crazy weekend. Just a lot going on, and we're still pushing and popping, right? So we pull back to the previous high, and what we have to see is will this hold, right? If this 21.11s holds, then we have to watch for a potential higher high and a buyback up. We have to see what small caps are doing, and also keep an eye on banks this upcoming week to see how banks report, right? And also remember when I get to Goldman Sachs, I'll address that. But this is an interesting level. I'll draw some more lines up here. These are my temp lines. This is a nice retrace and a hold here at the 21.11 area. If we drop below, watch 2081, then 2057, then 2019, 2008, then 1990s. Don't think we're just going to sell all the way down through there. We may see a liquidity break, but I would expect that the buyers may step in. So just be careful chasing any liquidity breaks, because they may just be that, right? Just liquidity breaks and actually nothing major. Um so moving on, let's go take a look at Amazon. Man, I am sleepy. So if you remember what we mentioned about Amazon, what we thought was interesting is that it has not been able to hold above the 3220s, the top of the channel it was in for well over a month, and the bottom's 3080s. So where are we now? We're down here, below the 3100, near the 3080 area, which is the bottom of this channel. What's our expectation? Well, We do have earnings coming up in about 10 days for Amazon and a few other monsters of tech, these big names. And so I would be careful. Even though we're drifting down here near the lows, this could be a dip for an earnings run, right? And that's like what I think maybe 2 weeks or so away. So be careful trying to short this. For me, I'm going to watch to see if we get through these 3080s and if we can see bearish action below the 3068s. It's close enough for me to be patient, right? And if I see the buyer step in near these bottoms or before, um, I may try to hitch a ride in case we see a run back up into earnings. So I'll be watching this closely. But remember, we're near the bottom of the channel, the 3080s. We're near that area. So technically, usually I'll be looking for a reversal play here for buyers to step in and just demonstrate the strength and reverse this to the upside. But we have to wait and see. This is one time, two times we weren't able to break and hold outside of the channel. And we're just retracing back inside the channel to the bottom of the channel. That's not good news. So we'll see what this looks like next week. But to give you these levels, 3080 is the bottom of the channel, then it's 3068, 3020. If we happen to dip below that, 2950s. If you remember what I mentioned before was 2950s is an area that I do expect us to retrace to. But with earnings around the corner, I'm not sure if we'll be able to touch that prior to earnings or not. But this is a level that I like, those 2950s. But we must respect the bottom of this channel, and we must see a clean break, in my opinion, a clean break of this area and a strong separation from the 3068s to the 3080s, a strong separation to the downside where we clearly see bearish candles and a little bit of volume to push us down. That's what we'd want to see if we're more bearish. If you're more bullish, you want to see the buyer step in around these 3080s and break us back above the 3140s and give us a squeeze and a run into earnings. So to the upside, we have 3142, 3193, 3220, 3268, 3344. So we'll see how that plays out on Amazon. Netflix. So Netflix, what do we mention? That when it gets up around 550, look for shorts. It didn't quite get there. We're down here below this multi-week trend, and which is this white line here. And we are bouncing on this above these 493s. That's a level that we like to get long against, but we're going to wait and see if we see more selling and we dip back to the downside, right? And remember, the bottom of this is right around those 470s and the 460s. So if we dip to that area, that'll actually be beautiful. We'll see if the buyers step in. So don't fall for these dips and the previous this week of tech just kind of giving some back. And to be honest, tech really has not gone on a run comparable to financials, right? Yeah, markets hit all-time highs the last few weeks, and tech has not. So that's really interesting. Who knows if tech is going to go on a run? We mentioned numerous different theories for the reason why Netflix is where it is. You could check out the previous videos to get that. But watching Netflix at this level, what you want to see is buyers step in and hold us above those 493 to 490s. You want us to hold above this, and you want the buyers to give us a pop back through the 507s and potentially back through the 529s. If we don't see that, then there could be a little bit more downside here, right? This 493 has been an area that's been really interesting. If we see separation to the downside, meaning sell candles, then the 470s to the upper 460s may be our next stop on Netflix. Not sure where the juice would come from Netflix. With so many people being vaccinated now, or well, technically it's only frontline workers, but with the plan, I believe Biden is planning to roll out massive, massive, massive vaccination sites that will be supported by National Guard and just calling in all types of support for that. So there's supposed to be a major push for that once he enters office within the first 10 days. So that could be interesting, right? Just getting more people vaccinated faster would definitely open the economy back up, get more people back to work, and less people available to be streaming Netflix, right? So that'll be interesting to see if those numbers may sort of taper off and go down based on that fact. So we'll see how that shakes out on Netflix. NVIDIA, interesting push up here around the 555s, unable to hold. And what we mentioned was above the 546s. What we want to see is we want to see bullish candlestick structure, meaning breakout, multi-day. That's what we want to see in a push up. We didn't see that. We retraced back inside, gave a slight back test, went with a slight whimper, and then we just sold, right? And neither did the 536s hold. So where are we now? Down around 514. And what we have to see here is if you look back, right, over the last, let's go back to here. This is the 10th of November. So back to pre-Thanksgiving. Each time that we've dipped around these 514s, we haven't spent much time below that, and the buyers have stepped in and pushed us back up. So here, is this true again? It may be. This is something to watch. See if the buyers push us back above those 514s, and if we can catch a bid and a squeeze up into the 530s. That would really be interesting. If instead we see bearish action below this level and we don't catch a hitch at the 504s, this could get really interesting as far as where can NVIDIA dip to, right? They did just mention that they are working with NIO, I believe, on a chipset or chips for their new electric vehicle. So this could be interesting, and that was some news that was exciting for NVIDIA, but it didn't seem to hold the stock up, right? It didn't give us a multi-week, multi-day run. So we'll have to see if that news was just there for the pop and it's gone out of the news cycle. So we'll see if there's follow-on news on that. But watch these 514, see if we go back up to the downside. I do have the 475s and the 460s. Not sure if there's enough selling pressure to push us down to that level, but keep an eye on NVIDIA and watch these levels that we just mentioned. We'll see. Historically, like the last few weeks, reversals at this 514 level. We'll see if that holds true. If not, look for the separation. Watch the first hitch here, right around the 504s. Be careful. Facebook, the week got weaker. Facebook has just been selling, unable to get over the 279s and hold. No bullish action above that. And we've just been selling. What's interesting about Facebook that you want to keep an eye on, right? If you watch the last time we bought up around the 297s and we had a little bit of strength, when we sold, right, where did we sell to? Right below the 247s. The low of this is like right around 244s actually. And we bought back up. If you look to your left, right, look how many times we push up into this area and we didn't quite really break through and hold. On this push, we did break above, and this 254 was our breakout level. Look at that break. Pull back test this level again, and we're off to the races, right? That's an interesting level to watch. So what we do see is on Thursday we did sell into the lower 240s. The buyers did step in, and on Friday they did push us back above the 247s, which is what happened here, right around late September. We dipped up, back down again, then we start to jettison to the upside. So this is a pattern repeat. We'll see if this holds, if the buyers do step in and squeeze us. We'll see how this play shakes out. We did make a play on this on the initial push down into the 244 by 247s. And right now we are not in. So I'll be looking for a re-entry if we do happen to hold above this level, these 247.40s. Facebook has just a bunch of negative news and a bunch of political news. They're sort of having, what would I call it? Not issues, right? But disagreements with a few groups, and they are booting certain people off of the platform We have to see how that works out and what's the buying power of those people, and how does that affect Facebook going forward? Because one of the things that platforms do want to avoid is the appearance of not being impartial, right? And whether true or not, it doesn't matter. The perception can become the reality for quite a few of these companies. So keep an eye on Facebook and see what the reaction is. They also have legislation in the EU that they're dealing with. So just really interesting things on Facebook, and it's sold. But remember, this 247 by 244 was a technical area. We did see the buyer step in, and we have to wait to see if there's follow through here going into Tuesday and Wednesday. If there's follow through to take us back to the upside, but will be interesting to watch. Let me see. Am I missing something? Let me see. Yeah, buyer should step in soon here. We'll see if we drift a little lower. 240s are possible, but I don't see that. I think it's, I mean, not 240s, 240 and then 230, 238. I don't think so. I think they may hold us above these 247s. So definitely keep an eye on Facebook. Let's keep it moving. Microsoft. Um, Previous conversations about the 217s, we're back below the 217s, and below the 217s, this area is like a swing door. When we're below, we're more bearish. When we're above, we're more bullish. And this dip through the 213s, we have to see if, similarly to what happened on the 6th of January, if we see buyers step in, if buyers step out of the way and the sellers are in control, we do want to keep an eye out for a dip into the 209s, potentially the 208s. Will be interesting to see what news comes out about Microsoft. I know they're involved with vaccine identification. Don't know how that's going to work, but they are involved in producing the ability to verify if someone has been vaccinated based on, I believe, a card of some sort. But we'll see how that works out. Um, if we don't get a buyback over the 213s, then watch for a dip in the separation down to the 210s, then potentially the 208s. Definitely interesting chart. We have to see which way it goes. Intel nonstop. Look at that strength. Nice little pullback here. This is an old area, um, a little channel area. We have to see if we hold within that. If so, then look for more upside on Intel. Nice pop here. To the downside, we have 56.91, 55.71, 55, 53.58. To the upside, we have 58.85, 60.94, 62.06. We have to see how this resolves and which way this goes. Um, but as far as Intel, for me, I would not be long this unless it breaks above 60.94 at the moment. If we do draw down and I see buying sort of stepping in at this 56.90s or 55.70s area and we're getting a run back to the upside, I might decide to jump in and just ride it up a few levels. But we have to see how that works out and if this buying is sustained. Goose, last video, what did we mention? Above 30.28s. Buyer stepped in a big way. We popped 32.30s, 33.70s. We have to see if we hold the 33.70s. If so, watch out for the 35.60s, 36.60s, 37.64s. Just Goose has just been interesting, right? Just been kind of strong these last few days. So keep an eye on Goose and see if we do continue up. If we see continued weakness below the 33.70s, it may not be a bad ticker to fade into the 32.30s. So we'll see how that works out on Goose. And let's keep it moving. Why do I feel as if I am forgetting? Okay. Here is Apple. Apple is below our multi-week trend and looking weaker by the minute. We have to see if it continues to drop to the 124.70s or the 121.93s. I'm in no rush to jump into Apple. Apple's owned by a lot of funds. When Apple turns around, there will be a clear sign to get in and to ride that elevator back up. But watch these levels. To the downside, 124.72, 121.93, 119.07, 116.94. To the upside, watch out for the 127.45, 131.75, 134.23, 137.28. Now, there are levels in between in this area, but that's something that you have to look at a lower time frame. And if you're using Bollinger Bands or using pivots, you'll find great entries intraday on a lower time frame. But Apple is below the uptrend, and I would not be surprised if it continues to dip. We have to see, just wait and see if a substantial amount of PR and money flow in. I just don't see it with earnings. Just in about 10 days, we'll see. Right, this usually 30 days prior to earnings is when the earning run begins. But just tech has just been weak, so we'll see how Apple works out if it continues to sell. We have to see. But I'll just be careful trying to jump into tech and guess the bottoms. Be very careful. McDonald's could not quite reach the 216s, and we're down now below the 209.40s. Scrunch this up. I would be careful of McDonald's because from this level, let's say we see a drift to the 206.20s, that's possible, but we can also sort of ricochet between these 206.20s to 209.40s ish, this area, and all the way through the 216s, and just sort of matriculate back and forth as a week progresses. So be careful with McDonald's, but the levels are 206 lower, then it's 209.43, 213.43, then 216.95. So those are the levels. It appears if you just look at this from the 14th of December to now, or 13th of December, it's almost as if this little part of the chart is um, living in a slight bubble because we're just sort of pinballing back and forth. But with earnings on the horizon, I'm sure we'll see a sharp move in one direction or the other. CMG, people must love their burritos. Definitely just insane. Um, there was a great dip buy here. If you were watching this on Thursday, it dropped right into the 1390s and gave us a nice little reversal. So what you want to watch for, do we see more selling below the 1390s? We weren't unable to see that on Thursday or Friday. If not, do buyers step in, squeeze through the 1420s and give us a run for it? Be careful with CMG. They have great news. Opening new restaurants. They're just printing cash on top of cash on top of cash. But be careful because that has nothing to do with the potential for a pullback. So play this carefully and only play strong levels. Don't chase EMA setups. I'll be really careful on CMG as far as your entry and expectations. But this thing does move once it gets going. Everyone's favorite electric vehicle saw a slight pull back here. So we're right above the 819s. If we dip, watch out for the 784s, 713, 40s, 751, 30s, 616s. Not expecting that. So we'll see if we get more upside. If we break above the 857s and the buyers step in, this could be interesting into the 900s to the thousands. So keep an eye on Tesla. Don't get caught up. The best time to buy is on strong pullbacks. This pullback doesn't seem that strong. Um, so just be careful. And if you're looking for a long, don't wait for the break and see if this rises to the next level. If we dip below the 819s and we're bearish below, watch out for the 784s. Zoom. And what did we mention on Zoom? Keep an eye out for a pushback through the 370s. And what did we have? A pushback through the 370s. Definitely got a heads up on this from a few people. And look at that push. So now you have to really be careful and watch to see if we see the buyers hold the 370s and we get a push through the 400s, because we know Zoom can run. Not sure why Zoom is running right now, but very interesting ticker, very interesting setup. Um, yes, very interesting setup. So we'll wait to see if we hold above the 375s. If we do, we can squeeze. Um, Retail have bad numbers. We'll be keeping an eye on retail, see if we hold below the 363s. If that opens up the 355s. The last time we pulled down into this area, buyer stepped in, ran us back to the upside. This time we dipped, went back above, and came back below. Definitely want to keep an eye on this. This may be a sign of true weakness. So I'll see if that's the case next week. And how will I know? If we're getting separation below these 360s and the 350s, I may be short the 355s, but I'll be keeping an eye on this for to see if there's follow through and then where the volume is. With a new president being inaugurated on the 20th, things could get a little bit squirrely this upcoming week. CI, the gift that keeps giving. Nice run here. We did reject the 226s. You guys have seen these charts before. You've seen these levels before. So we did reject. Pull back through the 222.80s. Watch out to see if we get a hitch in the 215s or if we can go lower. But tickers like CI, I believe that the run that it's been on most recently was based on Amazon, JP Morgan, and I believe Microsoft. I can't remember exactly. But remember, they formed that healthcare conglomerate. They're going to work together to provide great healthcare services for their corporations. That didn't seem to work out too well so far. And when the news started to come out that Amazon was jumping ship on that and decided not to follow through, CI popped, right? And maybe there may be another reason why this popped, but to me, it just seems that it's fascinating that that news comes out and price reverses. So it's very interesting. Um, if we continue to sell, watch for the 215s. Below that, the 206s, the 202s. If the buyers step in, watch out for the 222.8s and 226s. Definitely interesting ticker, one to watch, super spready. So you want to make sure that you are on the right side of whichever direction this thing decides to go. Definitely keep an eye on retail, right? This is Target. Just keep an eye on retail to see what happens here, right? I have to get my lines on there. I'll have to port them over from I'll have to pull up my charts on Thinkorswim because those have all these lines that I don't have on here, and I can sort of add them, transpose them here. Whirlpool is also interesting. So the first touch to 194s, we did see a pullback. We're staying strong through here. 204s, if we stay strong and squeeze, is possible. Keep an eye on Whirlpool. This thing looks like it may want to go. If we hold the 194s, I'm definitely watching the 204s as the next potential level to stop. And I could just keep my stop below the 194s, right? Preferably probably the 192.50s where my stop would be. But we'll see how that works out. Oh, another thing also, I know I'm kind of all over the place. I had a weird trading week. I traded a lot of different tickers, right? So we did have a rejection of the 258s, and what we want to see is, do we hold beneath this and do we remain to just continue to sell to the downside? FedEx was running on news that GM was going to target delivery services with their electric commercial vehicle plan. I guess that's what they're doing now, creating electric vehicles for commercial companies. And I guess if you think about it, that would save FedEx on a bunch of gas, right? As much as they drive, having a vehicle that was all electric would definitely help and curb those fuel costs. So keep an eye on this. See if we can get above the 258s. If not, watch for a retrace to the 243s. Just looking at chart patterns. Yep, we'll see how that works out. But look here, see this pullback, nothing. Bought right back up. So I'll be watching this to see how they play it this week, if they buy it back above the 258s, or if we continue to sell. If we do continue to sell, I will be riding this down, but I'll be more of a spectator. The 258s provided the best value against that level. And we did eat a little bit off of that one. That was nice. But make sure to draw your own conclusions. Don't let anyone tell you how you should be looking at stocks. Once you have your flow and it works for you, you can make minor adjustments. But we all trade, a little bit differently. Over to Goldman Sachs. That's just buy, 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 buy. I will be keeping an eye on Goldman Sachs. We had a nice little pullback here on Friday. We have to see if there's any continuation to this going into the new week. I believe Monday is a no trade day. I think it's Martin Luther King Day or another day, but I believe the market is closed. So on the retrace, watch to see if we see any buyers at 296, 291, 288, 285, and 281. So those are the levels we want to watch on Goldman Sachs. I do expect a strong pullback one of these days to bring this back to value. SPY, interesting. Look at the sells. You saw from the futures. Let's see if there's continuation here. This might be very, very, very interesting. So watch the 374.10s, 373.08s, 372.44s, 369.81s to the upside, 378.40s, 379.80s. Market is interesting. If you're a more conservative trader, just keep an eye out for the Biden-Kamala Harris election and the policies that they put out. Just ride the wave. Just ride the wave in the direction that, So if you liked this video, please scroll down and tap the like button. If you'd like to receive more content like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Power of Pivots, where you can look forward to receiving great videos from Elisa as she shows you pre-market, retail hours, RTH, and after hours setups. And she shows you how she utilizes her Power of Pivot script to find great entries and great levels to be able to give great setups and great alerts for quite a few of these tickers. This will have been a weird video. Definitely super tired. Need to get some sleep. But my Browns playing the Chiefs tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Might be doing a ton of push-ups. But thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful week and just remain safe.